Ian Hegerson
I heard and I just wondered what it was. Got up out of my bed, came through to the front and couldn't see anything until I turned my head and looked down the road and seen lights in the burn. That's the first I knew what. I thought it was a car or something maybe.
But it was a bus off the road?
Unfortunately it's a bus.
Despite the atrocious weather, police, fire and ambulance crews were quickly on the scene. A Royal Navy helicopter was scrambled and flew a teenage girl and one other person to the Southern General Hospital in Glasgow. But shortly before noon, police confirmed that the girl had died.
Obviously at this time, our hearts and our thoughts go to the family of those who have lost a loved one today, and also to those who are seriously injured. I'd also like to record my thanks at this time for all those motorists who assisted at the scene with providing shelter and support to those who'd been taken from the bus, and also to the local community in Whiston who opened up the village hall and were there to provide support and warmth and comfort for those who were injured whilst the emergency services got together at that point.
Police accident investigators are now examining the scene of the crash. The big question they'll be asking as well is why was the coach allowed to leave in such terrible weather?
Well, there have been many problems elsewhere in Scotland as well as a result of this weather. More than 20,000 homes are now without power, mostly in Dumfries and Galloway and in the northeast of the country. Many high-level routes in particular are closed, but some major routes such as the A9 have been shut for a time as well. In the borders, more than 24 schools have been closed, including 2 secondary schools, as a result of the blizzards and the wintry conditions. And we're hearing as well that there is a rescue operation underway in Hawick in the borders for a man who has been trapped by a swollen river. That operation taking place right now. So a lot happening here as a result of the weather in Scotland. Also many problems in Northern Ireland, where we can join my colleague Greg Wood, who is in County Londonderry.
James, I'm outside a sports hall in the village of Gulladuff, just down the road from the Glenshane Pass, where 300 people were trapped in their cars overnight. Hundreds of them were brought here in the early hours of this morning. Refuge from the storm. Sports halls and community centres became emergency shelters for those who'd become caught up in blizzard conditions. Some had spent up to 10 hours in their vehicles before being brought to safety by the police, working with teams from Mountain Rescue and the Coast Guard. Some slept on this morning, exhausted by their experience.
I left Belfast at 5:30, and at 6:30 I was trapped in the Glenshane Pass. Just came down very quick and nowhere to go. Just stranded, simple as.
We just had to use Mother Nature outside. We had no toilet on the bus, we had no food, no drink, and we were, near the end. We were just wanted off the bus.
The Glenshane Pass, one of the highest roads in Northern Ireland, remained closed today as the police tried to clear a way through, a line of trucks waiting for the all clear. The snow has stopped falling, but temperatures are still close to freezing. The police described weather conditions last night as horrendous.
As blizzard conditions came in, we found ourselves with 4 feet drifts of snow, and the road became totally blocked at both ends, which blocked in about 120 vehicles. 3 of those were buses, 1 bus full of school children on their way home, and we've evacuated about 300 people from those cars.
The bad weather also struck Belfast International Airport. Flights out were cancelled overnight, with all inbound services being diverted elsewhere. The airport is now operational again, but with further cancellations and delays. As for the stranded motorists, some of those we talked to questioned why a road like the Glenshane Pass had not been closed to traffic by the police before the atrocious weather, which was forecast, actually struck. But mainly they were grateful to the emergency services for getting them out of a nasty fix. There have also been widespread power cuts here in Northern Ireland. An estimated 48,000 homes were without power at one stage, though extra teams of engineers have been brought in to try and restore electricity as soon as possible. As for the people here, they still don't know when they'll be able to retrieve their abandoned cars. Emily.
Greg, thank you. Greg Wood in Macarthur and James Cook in Lanarkshire. Thank you both. In a trial that's
horrible consequences, as we